Just 4 weeks into the job, and Ontario Premier Doug Ford is whipping up a political firestorm in Canada's biggest city. His plan to slash the number of councillors in Toronto by almost half has sparked division and anger. Hundreds turned out last night to protest the proposed shakeup, both inside and outside City Hall. They call the reduction in seats for councillors from 47 to 25 undemocratic. Now, coming up, I'll speak with Robert Benzie from the Toronto Star. He was the one who broke this story. I'll talk to him what the impact of this move could be. Stay with us for that conversation.
Who knew about this in advance? Because it has been suggested that somebody knew about this in advance and didn't bring it to our attention. And the problem is, we were not given an opportunity. If we weren't in this meeting today, this is our 5th day of council, if we hadn't scheduled a meeting here today, we would have had no ability to debate this. Absolutely no ability to debate this.
It was about a 50-second discussion that I had that went nowhere, and it gave me no indication whatsoever of any intention to do anything. It was I called it amusing, but I was honest about it. And I think you should be ashamed of yourself when you get up in this chamber. You demean this place. You demean this place. You demean me. But more importantly, you demean yourself when you get up and call my integrity into question.
Into this chamber so we could have debate.
I think you should stand in your place and apologize to me and to this chamber for getting up and in that kind of that way where you're just kind of implying it but not saying it. Get up if you have the balls to do it and say it.
Strong words from Toronto's mayor and from city councillors, but it's not just politicians who are speaking out. Protesters surrounded City Hall to make their voices heard. Megan Roberts is following that part of the story for us, and you're looking at all those videos. You can see that it's a chaotic scene. Describe it for us.
Well, we know in City Council chambers that it actually reached full capacity. There were so many people that were inside wanting to watch that it actually spilled outside of chambers. And there were a few other tense moments. You can see here, people are actually shouting. They're shouting shame. They're booing the city councillor and the councillors and the mayor. You can see them pointing there. So there were some tense moments inside, and there were tense moments outside as well as protesters gathered. Now, one of the people outside was Jen Hollett. She's running for city councillor in this election. She was outside with the protesters. She says that their message was clear, that this happened in an undemocratic way because there were no consultations. She says it's causing chaos and confusion.
As a candidate, I have not been informed of anything, so we're assuming right now, because there is no legislation even proposed or tabled yet, that we're just continuing with our campaign and that the new Ward 21 exists. I mean, candidates are running in wards that the Premier says will not exist. It's very confusing. It's extremely chaotic.
So Hollett there saying it's confusing, and this is what prompted this massive protest outside of City Hall. Hundreds of people outside chanting and talking about what had been going on. Now, we'd mentioned that Jennifer Hollett said that this was a thing that happened that was undemocratic. She told CBC News that. And this was a message that we saw from protesters as well. No matter which side people were coming down on, whether they supported cutting city councillors or whether they wanted them to stay at their current numbers, there were a number of people that expressed concern over how this was done unilaterally and by the Premier of Ontario, not by City Council, by the Mayor, or certainly not initiated by anyone in Toronto, any Toronto citizens. Natasha.
So where does City Council go from here, Megan?
Well, there are a few options. We know that Toronto Mayor John Tory had mentioned a referendum, and that was a motion he made in City Council calling on Ontario to hold a binding referendum about this. Additionally, he said if that referendum was not held, he wanted it to be added as a question on the ballot for those upcoming municipal elections this year. There were other city councillors that were calling to check into whether or not this was legal. There was any legal action they could take, calling to check into whether this was constitutional. But some city councillors support this, so certainly it's something that's up for debate in council. Let's hear what some of the councillors had to say.
There's three main reasons why we support the decision that was made today. Number one, it's going to be better decision-making at City Hall, and I think that benefits Torontonians as a whole. Number two, we're going to save money, and it goes beyond just councillor salaries. And number three, it's a fair vote.
I think it's very clear that the Premier has decided that he is going to try and run the City of Toronto.
So we've got provincial politics at play, we've got municipal politics at play, and we'll have to wait until Monday to see how more things shake out, because Monday is when Toronto City Council reconvenes.